Hello everyone. In this particular video, I would be sharing what was my preparation strategy for direct taxation. So for direct taxation, I used Banvar Purana sir's video lectures, pen drive lectures. So what happened to me, because when Banvar Purana sir gives, he gives you a compact book. So when he gives you a compact book, what happens is, so whenever I used to prepare for any subject or any chapter of CA final, the only thing in my mind will be, Priyanka, now you take 10 hours, no problem. But when you're going to revise, you should be able to revise in, one third of the time you're taking now. And when you're going to revise it the second time, it should be reduced drastically. Because DT, no matter how much you study now, you may understand the concepts very clearly, you may know the provisions correctly very now, but only when you revise it, it will stay with you, unless you are already a person who has great memory. So but I was a person, who need to revise, and if I revise a particular provision, I would be very confident. So the key is revision in TT. I would say revision, revision, revision is the key for the TT. So whenever, for example, I would say, how typically how I used to study the subject. For example, PGBP is there will be so many revision lecture. So whenever I be seeing the, I mean the lectures. Whenever lectures, I would see the lectures. Once I'm done with the lectures, I take my compact book. I read I means compact book is basically a concise version of the provision. So I read those provisions on my own as I revise it on my own. Then after that, there is a compiler book. In the compiler book, I used to do all the questions. And one very important thing, when you're doing the questions, you will get some new points. I used to note down all those new points in my compact book. And in those compiler, you will get some good case laws. I used to note down all the case laws in my that notebook itself, in the compact book itself, in near the relevant provision. And wherever I used to make mistakes, I used to make some like mistake. For example, if there is thing that is advance paid in cash to a related party, I always used to remember to make 48 to adjustment, but I used to forget 48 adjustment. So I used to go near the 48 section and I used to write, Priyanka, if this is the sentence, you should not only make 48 to adjustment, you should also make 48 adjustment. So my compact book now had not only the revision provision, it has my mistakes, it has the difficult sentences or difficult adjustments, it has all the case law, it has my mistakes. And after this, what I used to do, any difficult question I used to note down, any difficult question which is not possible for me to note down in my compact book, I used to write the question number. And as soon as I finished the chapter, I used to take institute study material. Because right now you did the chapter, if you take institute study material, I used to see what is the illustration inside that particular chapter of PGBP and what are the examples behind that chapter. Because it's very, very important, you never know when those questions get lifted. It is highly possible that just questions gets lifted just like that, and if you see a question which you have just seen already, the sort of confidence that you get in the examination hall is immense. So you need to so as soon as I finish the PGBP, I take the institute study material and I do all the question, because some of the question will be already covered in the compiler. So you will remember because you just did this, and there will be few new question. If they're very, very easy question, I will not note them. If there are some good level of questions or difficult questions or adjustments, all my mistakes of institute study material in my compact book, all the difficult questions noted here, all the difficult adjustments noted here, all the sentence ambiguity is also noted here. So, and I used to take past 4 attempts, MTP, RTP and past papers, and used to check whether all these questions I have covered. But this all should be done immediately, because if you remember, if you've done the PGBP and after 2 weeks you're going to check these sources, you will not even remember whether you did this or not. So it is always advisable to do this in a loop and immediately. So now what has happened, next time whenever I'll be doing revision, what I will do, PGBP revision, I revise my compact book, I revise my mistakes which have been just written there, I revise all the case laws which I've just, and whatever the difficult questions I had marked. If you want to still get a grip or grip, or if you still want to get a grip, or if you want to still get belief in yourself, you can just try 2 to 3 questions in between, so that will give you very good confidence. So because what happens, so DT is quite, there are a lot of things to remember. So only and only if your revision is stronger, you will be able to make it. And one more revision source I had was Bandar Burana used to upload, uploads these YouTube lectures. So PGBP revision, I used to, I used to play his revision, because for me, listening to somebody was more effective than me revising on my own. So I used to just listen to him, note down the compact book, and I used to pause that revision lecture to note down whatever extra mistakes, extra points, and everything. So by the end of those revisions, what used to happen? One, I used to get the assurance that I will be able to revise PGBP in 3.5 hours. And I'm not only revising the compact book, indirectly, I'm revising the compact book, the compiler, the institute study material, and all the institute sources of past four attempts. These two are these great assurance, and the sort of confidence I used to get was immense. Then one very important thing is there were few chapters which were not uploaded in YouTube. So what for those chapters I used to record my own voice. The main reason I used to do that because TT is so big. So what you need to do, you need to fix the time limits of revision for each and every chapter. So I used to know GAR, my own voice recording is for 1 hour. So I'll be able to finish GAR in 1 hour. PGBP, the revision lecture is that I'll be able to finish in 3.5 hours. Like that, I used to. So what happens when you're able to fix the time limit for every chapter? Your 1.5 days revision strategy gets very easier. That is very important. Another thing is for MCQs. For MCQs, you know what is very, very important is you do all the institute sources MCQs properly. That should be enough. I never preferred any, outside materials or everything. I used to do Banwar Boranas's MCQ because Banwar Boranas's MCQ itself were institute sources MCQs only. So I used to do, and wherever in MCQs I used to make the mistakes, I used to note that down in my compact book. I used to make any, new. If I used to get any new concepts from, MCQs, I used to note down in my compact book. So when I'm revising compact, I'm revising all the institute sources, I'm revising all the institute MCQs and everything. So the sort of confidence, so you don't have to do those MCQs again. If you do once, it will be sufficient because all your mistakes, all the tough points, everything is being noted down in compact book itself. So this is one very important thing. Another thing is you need to, for any chapter for that matter, for a CA final, before examination you need to sit down in an examination situation to write it down. Not because you doubt your speed, it's because sometimes, and what you can probably do, it's just suggestion, you can definitely do if you want because it's always subject to time constraint. So for example, for if you're going to write May 2021 paper, you can take the Jan 21 paper and sit down, Jan 21 past examination paper, and write down, because the examination paper will be the original institute standard. So if you're able to write that, and in the 3 hours, and if you're able to get decent score, the sort of confidence you will get will be immense, because until the exam comes you will have a lot of doubts whether you will be able to do it or not, whether it will be, but once you have revised the entire chapter, you sit down for the 3 hours and you're able to really write that paper, the sort of confidence that you get will be immense. So you will be able, always in a better position or better equipped to face the paper. Because I remember for me, writing, practicing the paper and writing down at least one paper of 3 hours, like in a real examination situation, helped me a lot. So I think for this, the DT, I think what I followed, what I felt was, beneficial for me was revising the compact book, and compact book was nothing but the provisions coupled with all the compiler questions, a concise version in the form of my mistakes, in the form of the extra points, and the institute study material questions, as well as the past four attempts MTP RTP's questions, past paper questions compiled in the form of my mistakes and the new points in concise version in the form of compact, that I used along with the revision lectures, that I used along with my own recordings. This made the revision process very easy. And before 1.5 days, for example, if you feel it is your weak point and you're scared, what you can do, probably, first exam is FR. So before FR, you would have, no? So you probably, if your DT is your fear, you can revise DT before that FR. So everything is at the top of your mind. So when you're doing revision before, during your leave period, you will be able to revise the entire DT chapter. But for example, 1.5 days turnout, sometimes it's very difficult for you to revise the entire chapter in 1.5 days, which is something that is totally understandable. It's okay. And it's the same for everything. So there's nothing to worry about it. Because you have already read it, it's not like you'll forget it. Because just before the few days, you would have already revised it, so you'll remember it. But what is important, you need to prioritize. For example, in the, I had luckily 3 days. So I think, yeah, 3 days for the preparation for I'm not sure how many days I had. I think I had good amount of time because there was postponements. So yeah, I think I had 3 days for the preparation of DT. So what happens because I had these many days for the preparation of DT? What I did, I first focused on international taxation because international taxation compulsory comes for 30 marks. So I prioritized that. Then I prioritized PGBP, MAT, and AOP and LLP because these constitute a large portion of it. Then I used to revise GAR because GAR compulsory comes for 4 marks as per the institute study marking. Then I revised trust because trust is also again an 8 mark question. Then I revised TDS because TDS again a compulsory 4 to 8 marks question. So this, but one very important thing, you can't afford to take other chapters because they will come in the form of MCQ. But that's why I'm telling you to fix revision time limits. And sometimes, when I used to get stuck, I also used to follow ABC analysis of Atul Agarwal. I used to see and I used to go by that, and I used to try to finish at A plus B is a must. Then C as much as I can. I used to try to finish. So this helped me, get, because there is no threat, because before the examination I have already revised everything. So I have recently revised everything because I will definitely remember. So that I will definitely. But before the exam, you have to revise what are the most important chapters. For SEMP, there is nothing like these are the chapters. You cannot, say with surety that these are the chapters that will come for these many. It's quite difficult to say. But for DT, it's quite possible. For example, international taxation is compulsorily 30 marks as per the institute marking itself. So first you can finish international taxation. So only 30 marks you will be able to face. Then rest PGBP. PGBP is a compulsory 14 mark question, which is always the first question. Then AOP, BOI or MAT. Either any of these, one question, partnership, LLP. Combination of this, they will definitely give you one question of, one 14 mark question. Trust will automatically give you, the trust is the compulsory 8 mark question. GAR is compulsorily a 4 mark question. TDS is usually a 4 mark question. So these all together itself will give you 60 marks, which I think you will be able to see in the ABC analysis also. So when you have this prioritization of the chapter, you will have a lot of confidence that even in the examination, you might not have revised the 100%, but definitely you will be able to score at minimum of 50 marks, because initially, if this is your preparation, you have a conceptual understanding, and if your revision has been based on the prioritization of the chapter, I think easily you will be able to score 50 marks minimum, even in the worst of the times. And there is no higher limit, so you can score any amount. And basically, trust me, DT was my fear. I was so scared for DTPs. Everybody used to come and tell me, it's vast and everything. But when I followed this strategy, I was particularly all right. I think I scored around 81 or 82 in DT. So I think that was something that, of course, the paper was also moderate paper. But I think I was able to score because I had followed this strategy. So I think you will be able to. I think this was a very good strategy which I felt might help you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.